always believed
Congressman,
that.
along that line, we actually have the mother here today of a Marine serving in Afghanistan, and I'd love for you to let her ask you a question.
Yeah.
My son's in Afghanistan living in a hole in the ground, and what concerns him is what the Democrats in Congress are doing to our country. There's one question I would like to ask you that you can answer very quickly, and yeah, that's real funny, isn't it?
I'm not laughing. It's not funny. I appreciate your son's service. It means a lot to everybody.
It means a lot
in
to
this
everybody.
country.
It means a lot to one of his buddies who's at Bethesda right now, minus his legs. And another one, the family of another one in his platoon that was blown up. So I'm grateful for the 800 warthogs that bailed him out. But my question is, with corruption in Washington, you talk about being on appropriations, you're also on ethics committee. As of last night, Congressman had lined up to return to Charlie Rangel $650,000 worth of campaign contributions. You're sitting on $10,000 worth of Charlie Rangel money that you've had for a long time. Congressman Welch forever ago gave his money back. He's on ethics committee as well, as I'm sure you know. But are you going to return the money from Charlie Rangel, and why haven't you already, to avoid any appearance of conflict of interest on your part? You've got a lot of money. You can spare the $10,000.
As you all may know a little bit about my background, I served as state auditor in this Commonwealth for 4 years, and I served as Attorney General for 8 years. I have always served in those offices with integrity and with a blind eye to what party somebody is affiliated with, and with the notion that I make the calls based on the facts as they are presented. And as a member of the Ethics Committee, we dealt with the Charlie Rangel matter in an open and in a very significant way. He was charged by the committee that I sat on with some very, very serious allegations, and he's going to have to deal with those. But we gave a strong report, just like I have in many other instances in my career. We hit the, I even investigated a governor of my own party, a governor who had helped me politically in the past. I investigated him, and we ended up indicting his chief of staff. So I have a long track record of doing what I think is right, regardless of any other influence. Based solely on the facts, I will always do that. I owe it to the people that I represent to do that. It's an important part of being in public office, and anybody who's not prepared to do that shouldn't hold themselves out for public office. But I think my track record speaks for itself in that regard.
I'm not sure it's just public record. I think anybody that's a leader is sort of just really eyeballed closely. When you mentioned that a few minutes ago in your talk, I was thinking, I had a nursing instructor 30 years ago who told me that if you're a leader and everyone likes you, you're not doing a very good job. I remember that. It's real funny how things you just stick in your head all these years, and I thought that is so true, because if you're a leader, then you're going to make decisions that people.
But what has that got to do? Excuse me, but what has that got to do with her question?
Well, let me answer her.
Well, well, how about it? Would you answer her first?
I've already answered
you
her
haven't,
question.
Sir. You have not.
I think that it's very important that, of course, you understand that you are supposed to do the right thing, and that you will always receive criticism if you try to do the right thing. You can just count on that. My granddaddy told me very early on when I first got into this business that you shouldn't ever make the mistake of trying to make everybody like you, because it's impossible. You will fail if you try to do that. What you need to do in public office is earn the respect of respectable people. And that's what I try to do. That's what I will always try to do. And I'm confident that people are going to disagree with me. They're going to disagree with me on a lot of different issues. But I will stand by the record that I've compiled. I'm sure I'll make mistakes. Everybody does. But I will stand by the record as a record that I've compiled, trying very hard to make the decisions that I think are the appropriate and right ones for the people that I represent. Thanks.
You know, that VA healthcare system, I can address that. It's a whole lot different today than it was 3 years ago. I mean, sort of 3 years ago, you'd have to wait 2.5 to 3 years just to get an MRI. Today, the doctor schedules it within 30 days, get one.
Well, thank you. That's what we tried to accomplish. We've tried very hard.
But
Yes, sir.
this system is getting taxed. There's so many of these boys coming back that, like this lady says, that are just, I mean. And
Yes, sir.
A lot of this up in the head seems to be a tremendous amount of boys having head wounds.
It's terrible, and it's, well, we just have to stay vigilant, and we have to continue to put that at the very top of our priority list. It's absolutely critical.
Over the next 2 or 3 weeks, the Congress is going to be working on a small business relief program. Do you have any details on what that might entail?
Well, there are a number of things, and they're going to include some tax cuts, some further tax cuts for small businesses. But one of the main things, I think, is closing the loophole that allows these foreign corporations to continue to send our jobs overseas. That's what we've got to stop that, and we've got to put policies in place that allow us to keep our jobs here and to create new jobs here, particularly in the manufacturing sector. I want to see made in America again. That's what I want to see. I want to see it everywhere.
With cap and trade in place, how are you going to see made in America?
There are a lot of policies are being put in place to try to get that done.
Will there be any incentives to community banks to start loosening up some of the liquidity? I mean, small businesses are the heartbeat of America. We need to be able to get access to capital, which the banks really aren't freeing up right now.
That's exactly right, and we need to try to give banks incentives to loan, not put too much regulation on the banks and on the small community banks, and we need to get consumer confidence back. That's part of the big problem in this country. You remember in 2008, September 2008, we'll never forget it, when Bernanke and Paulson, the two financial gurus of the country at that time, came to the Congress and said, we have a complete system failure, essentially. And what happened was the private sector demand essentially collapsed. And what we've got to do is we've got to get that demand back somehow. We can do it by certain targeted tax cuts, and we can do it by making sure that money's circulating in the economy. That's what we've got to do. But first and foremost, it's creating those jobs. And small businesses, as we know, are the engines of those jobs.
Can I ask a real quick question?
Yes,
It's not about anything you've actually touched on yet, but it is about the economy. The Bush tax cuts are expiring, and that's a major concern for me personally, and should be for everybody in this room, as far as dollars in my pocket versus more going toward taxes. What are your thoughts personally as far as, are those going to get reinstated? Because December 31st will be here before we know it.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be Christmas time before we know it, and I'm worried that with the death tax coming back and those tax brackets increasing, that could become more of an economic problem.
Well, we don't want to.
We don't already need,
That's right. We don't want to do anything that will hurt the economy, and we want to make sure that we don't. And I'm not in favor of letting anything expire that will cause further economic downturn. And we'll just have to sort through those. And
I know it's a little ways away.
Yeah, it's a little ways away, but we'll have to sort through them, and we'll have to make decisions on which ones that will hurt the economy if they're allowed to expire, and not let that happen. The concern I think you see in Washington, you hear a lot of concern, as you know, about the deficit. The Bush tax cuts have been responsible for a full 30% of the deficit. So that's the countervailing concern. We're trying on the one hand to deal with the deficit, and on the other hand to not do things that will cost jobs.
Right.
So that's what we're going to have to balance and see that we make the right call.
I don't think that. Stop it.
Thank you. Thank you all. Appreciate you having me.
Well, thank you very much, and I'm sorry to stop you, but it was some folks have got to get back to work, and I